In 2017, Saudi Arabia revealed a vision so bold it looked like science fiction.
لا نعمل فقط إلا مع الحالمين، لأن هذا المشروع ليس مكان لأي مستثمر أو أي شركة تقليدية، هذا المشروع فقط موقع ومكان للحالمين اللي يريدون خلق شيء جديد في هذا العالم.
A $500 billion megacity rising from the desert. No cars, no emissions, artificial intelligence running entire districts. And at its center, a 170-kilometer mirrored wall called the Line. It would house millions and change how people live. But in early 2026, that future looks very different because NEOM is being scaled back.
Saudi Arabia's futuristic megacity, NEOM.
Look at the NEOM. Can NEOM meet its green promises?
NEOM was the crown jewel of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, the plan to move the kingdom beyond oil. The Line was the headline project. Two parallel skyscrapers faced in mirrored glass, 500 meters high, 170 kilometers long. No roads, no cars, everything within a 5-minute walk. A high-speed underground train would carry people from one end to the other in 20 minutes. The images were stunning. The world paid attention. It became the most talked-about construction project on the planet. But the images were not the whole story. Please take a moment to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel. Nearly a decade later, the reality on the ground looks different. Around $50 billion has already been spent, more than the GDP of some small countries. Yet satellite images still show long stretches of empty desert. Only limited sections are under heavy construction. Some projections suggested that completing the full 170 kilometers could cost as much as $8.8 trillion. That is more than the combined annual GDP of the Middle East and Africa. Even if exact numbers vary, one thing became clear. The original vision was far more expensive than first imagined. At the same time, Saudi Arabia's economic outlook began to shift. Global energy markets were changing. Oil prices became less predictable. Government spending had to be adjusted. The Public Investment Fund operates carefully. It spends returns from investments rather than using its core wealth. That limits how much can be spent each year across all national projects. To make NEOM work at full scale, revenue forecasts had to be extremely optimistic. Over time, those expectations became harder to justify. The financial model no longer looked as strong as it once did. By late 2024, the pressure was difficult to ignore. Multiple reports suggested that the full 170-kilometer build was no longer the immediate goal. Instead, focus shifted to completing a much shorter pilot section. Current plans indicate that about 2.4 kilometers may be delivered by 2030. That is less than 2% of the original vision. Smaller, more contained, more realistic. Early projections of millions of residents by 2030 have also been revised downward. The focus is now on building something achievable first, then expanding later. Satellite imagery shows what this shift looks like. A long trench remains from early excavation work. It stretches over 100 kilometers. It was meant to support the mirrored structures. Today, activity is concentrated in shorter sections, rather than along the entire length. Heavy machinery has moved away from many areas. Work continues, but in a far more focused way than originally planned. Inside the organization, major changes followed. In late 2024, CEO Nadhmi Al-Nasir stepped down after leading the project for years. Ayman Al-Mudayfer took over and began reviewing operations. Layoffs followed. Thousands of international employees were let go. Offices scaled down. In early 2025, for the first time since NEOM began, no major new construction contracts were awarded. The project entered a period of reassessment. The adjustments were not limited to the Line. Trojena faced delays. The mountain ski resort was set to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games. Now its scope has been reduced in certain areas. Some hotel developments were paused. Oxagon slowed. The planned industrial and port hub was reassessed. Across Saudi Arabia's Giga Project program, priorities began to change. Deliverability mattered more. Audits added further clarity. Reports suggested that around $44 billion in project value had been reassessed or written down. A large portion connected to NEOM's developments. Trojana accounted for billions. Oxagon accounted for billions more. Infrastructure costs were higher than expected. These figures showed that changes were unavoidable. Saudi Arabia now faces 3 global deadlines that cannot move: the Asian Winter Games in 2029, the Riyadh Expo in 2030, the FIFA World Cup in 2034, 11 new stadiums. With major international events approaching, resources and time must be allocated carefully. To meet those commitments, project timelines across NEOM were adjusted. Focus shifted to areas with clearer near-term returns. There was another difficulty. The line's full concept was designed as one continuous structure. Smaller phases can be built, but delivering the entire 170-kilometer vision requires massive scale and coordination. Reducing height or length significantly changes the engineering, changes the transportation system, changes the entire concept. The project was never a traditional city built block by block. It was a single integrated structure. That makes flexibility more complex. NEOM is not being abandoned, it is evolving. In February 2026, NEOM signed a $5 billion agreement with DataVolt. They will develop a major renewable-powered data center at Oxagon. That is not conceptual design. That is physical infrastructure, artificial intelligence, data processing. Recent announcements highlight green hydrogen production, advanced manufacturing, logistics, digital infrastructure. Noticeably absent? Major updates on the line's physical expansion. The conversation has shifted from mirrored walls to megawatts. While NEOM adjusted, another Saudi developer quietly delivered. Red Sea Global completed its first wave of resorts, on schedule, within tighter budgets. The contrast was important. In a country preparing for Expo 2030 and the 2034 World Cup, execution matters more than headline. Projects that showed measurable progress moved forward. Projects still dependent on long-term projections faced harder scrutiny. Ambition remains, but efficiency now leads. Is NEOM failing? Not exactly. It is transformed. The original vision of a continuous mirrored supercity for millions appears paused in its full form. But development across the broader NEOM region continued. Oxagon's port and industrial plans are progressing. The data center project signals real investment. Renewable energy infrastructure is expanding. What is emerging is more phased and practical, less utopia, more infrastructure. History shows that mega projects rarely unfold exactly as first imagined. Cities like Dubai went through pauses during financial downturns. Major skylines around the world grew in stages, not all at once. NEOM may be following a similar path. The scale has been reduced, that much is clear, but the ambition to transform Saudi Arabia's economy remains. The real question is whether a smaller, functional, profitable version can succeed and grow from there. In the end, the line revealed something important. Renderings inspire, but progress is measured in what stands on the ground. What stands today may be smaller than promised, but it is real. And in the world of mega projects, reality is what lasts.